today in JFAC, the representatives from the governor's office were there to take questions regarding their budget. And there were a lot of questions that were put out there, some great questions from Glenita Zeiderveld, Senator Zeiderveld, Representative Price, and so forth. But Representative Josh Tanner feels like, he alludes to something that Representative Price said, but they kind of stumbles upon something that we may have to like investigate a little bit further here. Some moving of funds that don't necessarily show up in Transparent Idaho. And when we're all taking a look at what's happening nationally with Elon Musk and Doge, we're all acutely aware now of the possibility that the federal government isn't the only place where money just gets thrown around willy-nilly to never be seen again. But here's a little bit of what Tanner said this morning in the Joint Finance and Appropriation Committee.
I think I was going to follow up more on what Representative Price has said. I'd kind of looked into the similar areas, but I think it's probably better for Director Wolf if she had a chance to look at that or analyze that and give us some feedback. There were multiple different transfers that were done back from other agencies to the Department of the Governor. We had $95,000 that was transferred from the Department of Health and Welfare, $55,000 that was transferred from IDOC, $50,000 was transferred from the Department of Insurance, and then $50,000 that was transferred from DFN back to the governor. What was more curious to me is that the timing of those transfers. So 3 of the transfers were done in August, just shortly after their budget was done. So it seemed very interesting to me because I can follow back. I've looked through some of the ones that have been done in the past, which are ones that are like the AG's office, for instance. They do a lot of it, but I can go back and I can look how many hours, every detailed thing of what they actually have done. These ones look like they were just transferred at the beginning, like they were paying for their staff. And then the more curious one was the one that was done on the June 6th from DH.
Let's stop it there for a second. Let's stop it there for a second. So he's noticing that there are funds being transferred back to the governor's office. And he alludes to a little bit later that unless that didn't happen, the governor's office would be in the red. They'd be underwater. And it happens in a big chunk. It's not like they're paying for something, that sometimes departments will have to reimburse other departments and all that sort of thing for time. But it seems as though like that there's just a big chunk that's happening in order to make the office whole over there. Is that what I'm getting? Did you catch any of this that goes? And there was a lot more of this, folks, which maybe we'll just post separately. But what was your take on some of this? Do we have Brian?
JFAC this morning. And that's basically it. So Representative Tanner says that he's noticed all these transfers because all these agencies within the state government, they're appropriated money from JFAC and from the legislature, but often then they transfer money back and forth. And in this case, he noticed a bunch of transfers last June, which is right at the deadline of the budget when we leave one fiscal year and move to the next. And he was just wondering what's going on with these. Why are all these other agencies giving money, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 to the office, the executive office of the governor? I saw on the B-roll here, Senator Jim Woodward, he seemed to complain a little bit about that line of questioning, suggesting that this isn't the job of JFAC to go through transaction by transaction. And if citizens are concerned, they can go to Transparent Idaho and look for themselves. Representative Tanner pointed out, wait a second, I'm not seeing some of these transactions on Transparent Idaho. And besides, they do these transfers all the time. And usually there's a note with them saying, this is what it's for. But these transfers to the governor's office, they don't have that note. So I think it seems reasonable for a member of the budget setting committee to ask what the office is doing here. Lori Wolf, the administrator of the Office of Financial, Department of Financial Management, Office of Financial Management, the budget department, said that there's a lot of them where the governor's office will send some of their employees to work with other agencies, such as when they have an interim director or a vacancy or something and they need a little bit of assistance, and then they'll be reimbursed for that. And Representative Tanner said, yeah, that's great, but still a lot of these are not saying what they were for, and they were all done at kind of the same time. So it is an interesting question that I think deserves a lot more scrutiny, because who really knows what's going on? It could just be completely benign, or they could be doing some weird stuff with our money.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the spirit of Doge, like we had mentioned, everybody's like paying attention to the money and all this. So like this is one aspect of it. I want to get into that a little bit with you here before you go, but I think this is a big deal. I mean, I think when you have your basically your budget committee here. Going through the numbers, having questions on wondering where the money is going. Like this is exactly these are exactly the questions that we are trying to ask when we send these people to Boise, when you elect them to watch over your money. And when someone like Senator Woodward, and he did, we'll play that clip later if we have time, where he just says, "Look, you could just look at, if you want to look at line by line, we shouldn't be doing it here. You should just go on Transparent Idaho." And Josh is like, "I did." Tanner's like, I did do that, and that's why I have these questions. You dumbass, you dummy. I mean, it's just it irks me so much. It irks me so much. But thank God we've got folks like Representative Tanner there, Representative Price, Senator Zeiderveld. I mean, they're watching these numbers like a hawk, and it is fantastic to see. Okay. We want to let you go, but Brian, Almond, but tell us a little bit about this article that you're composing here on Doge and what that means for Idaho and what we can do here.
Yeah, so Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, it started as a meme, and now it's Elon Musk and his team of Zoomer geniuses are tearing through the federal bureaucracy and finding so much waste and fraud and things that are just being spent on nonsense. And President Trump has given him a wide latitude to recommend that a lot of these programs just be completely cut, and that is fantastic. And we're watching it here in Idaho, saying we want that here. But it's also become a buzzword. Everybody says this is a Doge bill, this is a Doge initiative, because it's the new political buzzword. Everyone wants to get on board and bask in that glory. But really, what is going on? Obviously, we want to see the budget cut. We don't have an executive here in Idaho who's given anybody wide leeway to go through and just recommend cuts here and there. That would probably be great. So we have to rely on our legislature and JFAC and such. And I think there's two sides to it. We need to cut through some of the waste in the budget, but there's also a lot of streamlining of code and rules that is actually going on very quietly. I'm going to be putting together a list of bills that are going in that direction. For example, just this morning, Representative Jordan Redmond presented a bill that would cut 150 sections of code out of our state laws regarding related to the Department of Health and Welfare. And that's very much that's a good thing. It's these codes always get bloated and bigger and have mission creep. So cutting, that's a good thing. It's something that doesn't get a lot of attention, and I just want to look through and see exactly how much is actually happening. What level of Doge are we on here?
Yes. What level of Doge? How much more can we do? Let's keep it going. Excellent. All right, Almond. Well, folks, make sure you follow Brian. Brian, where can we follow you and make sure that? And when does this article hit?
Assuming nothing jumps out at me today, I'll try and have it done by this afternoon or this evening at gemstatechronicle.com, and also follow me as always at GemStateBrian on Twitter.
Yes. All right, Almond, get at it out there, man. Watch out, Capital. Here he comes.